Hello and welcome to Rathod Science Academy. Today in this session, we are going to see very important articles that appear in our today's in the newspaper. First of all, I'll let you know the important topics of the day, and there are many topics to be discussed in today's class. And later on, we are going to analyze each and every topic from prelims, mains and interview point of view. And at last, I'll be giving you some practice questions. Online students, please don't skip this video. Please do watch until last, so that you'll be getting lots of insights regarding how to prepare current affairs from UPSC point of view. Okay, let us see the topics of the day. The first one is zero tariff textiles exports to US possible for India, says Goyal. So this article is talking about India-US recent trade deal. In yesterday's class, we discussed about the goods which are exempted, especially we did discussed about agriculture products. And now in this today's newspaper, in the front page, there is article related to textile exports. And this topic is important from economy point of view, and as well as geography point of view, and as well as from international relations from GS paper 2 point of view. And next topic is retail inflation at 2.75% in new consumer price index with 2024 as base year. Recently, we discussed about changing of base year, and India's ranking is very bad. Because of this base year, we are not updating that. So finally, we came up with a new consumer price index with a changed base year. Here you have to focus on this. What is this new consumer price index? You may get a question related to that from your economy from GS paper 3. And next topic is simultaneous polls do not violate constitution's basic structure. And this article is talking about simultaneous polls. You have to know what is the simultaneous polls is about, and you have to know about what is this basic structure and which judgment of Supreme Court led to this foundation of basic structure and what all comes under this basic structure, everything. And you may also get a interview based question on this basic structure also if you are from PSIR background. And this topic is important from your polity because elections and basic structure of constitution are part of your polity from GS paper 2. And next topic is one-horned rhinoceros. There is one image in international edition related to this one-horned rhinoceros. If you are getting that kind of images, obviously it is very important. So here we have to see certain facts related to this one-horned rhinoceros. And this is important from your GS paper 3 under environment and ecology. And next topic is government can file FIR to move privilege motion. It will stand with farmers. I will stand with farmers, says Rahul. So here just focus on what is this privilege motion. So in your Polity Lakshmikant book, in the chapter of Parliament, whenever you are studying about the proceedings of the houses, you will be saying lots of motion, substantive motion, privilege motion, motion of thanks, like that. So here this is in news, so you have to know about what are these privileges and what is this privilege motion is about. This topic is important from polity from GS paper 2. And next topic is Vande Mataram. It's 6 stanzas and a settled question. So here now Vande Mataram song got the equal status with our national anthem. In our yesterday's class, we discussed about what are the new guidelines came up by the government of India, which is offering the same status as national anthem. So this is the thing, and this is important from your history point of view from GS paper 1. And next topic is too fake to be good. So this article is talking about synthetic content. We discussed about synthetic AI generated synthetic content, and recently government came up with more rules and regulation to control this AI based synthetic content in social media, right? I think 2 days ago we discussed that. Now there is one editorial on this. Just we are going to revise the points which are the guidelines given by the government to control that. And this topic is important from GS paper 2 under governance. And next topic is farmers' pulse. This article is talking about, yesterday we discussed about agriculture products that had been exempted from that list of US, right? And now our farmers are going to be get benefited. So here, even though if you are making lots of that kind of deals with other countries to increase our exports of agriculture to other countries, in our country we are having certain structural challenges. We have to overcome that kind of structural challenges so that we can improve the farmers' income. So here in this article, they are saying about just what are the structural changes we can bring in our country to improve the income of farmers. And this topic is important from your economy from GS paper 3. And next topic is a case against the Shanti Act. Recently, we studied about the Shanti Act. So in this text and context, they are saying about there is one problem related to this Shanti Act. We have to see what is that problem is about. And this topic is important from your polity and as well as from your GS paper 3 under science and technology. Okay, so all these are the articles that we are going to discuss in this class. So please bear me for next 1 hour. Okay, say this title, read out the title. Zero tariff textiles exports to US possible for India. So if you want to understand this, again we have to go back to see what is happening in the recent past. So if you go back to the month of September, October 2025, what happened? In this month of September, October 2025, US started imposing of 50% of tariff on Indian goods. What are the reasons why US imposed this 50% tariff on Indian goods? First one is Russian Sanction Act of 2025, and they said that up to 500% we can impose tariffs. Okay, what is the second reason? Protectionism policy of Donald Trump. They want to protect Americans. Next one is protectionism policy. Next, if you see trade between India and US is facing trade deficit. They want to balance this trade. Next one is balance of trade. So these are the major reasons why US started imposing 50% of tariff. Okay, at that time, what we discussed something regarding Bangladesh and Vietnam. Yes or no? What we discussed at that time related to this Bangladesh and Vietnam. Come on, there is a link between that Bangladesh, what we discussed then and today's article. Because of that, I went to this. Come on, think what we discussed at that time related to this Bangladesh and Vietnam. Honest students, tell me in the comment box. So here, because of this 50% tariff, what happens? Our Indian goods price will be obviously increased. So our Indian goods will not become competitive in international market. Then which country goods are going to be getting advantaged? Bangladesh and Vietnam. Why? Because whatever the goods, especially if you take these textiles which are coming from Bangladesh to US, there will be zero tariffs. Zero tariffs on this Bangladesh goods which are going to US because of US-Bangladesh trade. Because of this, what happened? Indian goods are not becoming competitive and Bangladesh and Vietnam goods are become competitive. Right. So that is the thing that we discussed earlier in the month of October and as well as November. But now this article is saying that finally we finalized US-India trade deal, right? In this US-India trade deal, what are the provisions which are enjoyed by Bangladesh so far? Now Indian textile goods are also going to get that kind of same benefits now from US under the part of this trade deal. So because of this, now there will be 0% tariffs on Indian textiles on two important things. What is the things that you have to remember is, first, US said that if they are importing yarn from US and we are going for processing in India and we are going for making a final apparel in India, and if we are again exporting to US on that cloths, on that textiles, there will be zero duty. That is the first thing which mainly said. Are you understanding? To make any cloths or any sarees or anything, we need to have the yarn, right? Without yarn, we can't make the textiles. So if you are importing that yarn from US And if you are doing processing and manufacturing everything from that yarn of US, and again we are exporting that final good to US, on that goods there will be 0% duty. That is the first thing. And second thing, they said that man-made and handmade, especially handmade goods of India will be also having 0% tariffs. The same provisions are enjoying by this Bangladesh now, and the same thing now we are also going to get benefited from this US-India trade deal. Okay, so that is this article. Are you understanding? Okay, now you guys tell me, on our textiles we can expect 0 duty. Now you guys tell me, what is the impact of this? Do we have any impact? What is this impact? It is going to help our textile industry. It is going to help our textile industry. Next, can we improve our textile exports? And one important point that you have to remember is, textile industry is a labor intensive industry. We need lot of labor, from collection of cotton from the farm till the manufacturing of a dress or any apparel. It will take lots of stages. If you are from that kind of family, you will be know how much labor it will be involved in making of a saree. If you have been to this Pochampalli sarees got GI tag from Telangana. Do you know that? And even Kalamkari sarees from AP also got GI tag. And recently Paithani sarees from Maharashtra got GI tag. I think Paithani I gave in the last test. No idea. Last test I gave this question related to Paithani. Paithani sarees from Maharashtra. No idea. Girls, you might be knowing about Paithani border. It is very famous. Okay, I don't know. So here what happens? This textile sector is like labor intensive sector. So here we can generate employment opportunities in this sector. And actually, if you go to this textiles and here generations together, they will be depending on this textiles only. Then what happened? Normally nowadays the present generations are not continuing their parents' occupation. So because of this, what is happening? The lots of heritage, lots of art, everything is getting disappeared in our country. So here that will be also helpful for revival of our textiles, traditional textile industries in our country. So these will be the advantages of this move of US. Okay, and even our Indian goods will become competitive in US market. So whatever the space occupied by this Bangladesh can be replaced by Indian goods in US market. Okay, so this is the thing. Everything is interconnected. So in yesterday's class, we discussed about agriculture. So if you are getting any question related to how this India-US deal is going to help India, you have to write agriculture, you have to write about machine-made goods, you have to write about textiles. So like that, whatever the articles coming every day, you have to update in your notes, and you have to able to write a good answer connecting all the dots. Okay, are understanding? Okay, what you have to see from this article here is, first of all, what is this India-US trade? And next you have to see about what are the provisions included in this trade. And next you have to see what are the challenges we have in this trade. And next, what is the significance? In the significance, you have to go for multi-dimensional manner, and you have to see agriculture, industries, textiles, semiconductors, machine made. So whatever it may be, you have to see in different dimensions the significance, how it is going to be impacting. Okay, and you know about these challenges, right? What are the challenges between India and US now? What are the challenges between India and US? First one is H1B visa. Next, normally what are the challenges between India-US relations? Okay, dairy products. Next, dairy products issue and genetically modified crops issue is going on. Next one is H1B visa restrictions. Next, Yeah, Indian rice dumping issue is going on. So like that you have to know about what challenges exactly. So we have to see whether those challenges are addressed by this recent India-US deal or not. In that way you have to think and you have to make the notes. Are you understanding? And this topic is very important from your international relations, economy as well. And next one is we are talking about textiles. That means in your geography, I think human and economic geography you have studied about textile industries in our country. Yes. So here you have to see in which states we have major textile industry. Tell me which state is famous for textile industries in India. Which state? Come on, think once again. Where we have more textiles? Tamil Nadu? Not exactly. West Bengal and Gujarat, and even Maharashtra is also very famous for textile industry. So open your book and you have to make notes of textile industries in India. Okay, are you understanding? And even sometimes you may get a question related to cotton, silk. What are the major fibers used in the textile industry? Cotton will be used, wool will be used, silk will be used, and in this silk we have different types of silks like tussar silk, mugar silk, silkworms, tearing of silkworms, everything. So you have to cover those basics also. Cotton, in which area cotton is grown and which soil is suitable for cotton, and how many days of warm and moist should be required, what should be the moderate rainfall, everything. Then you have to see all those things. And related to this handmade textiles, pashmina shawls is very famous, especially from this Kashmir region, and the shawl cost is, it will be like very high, it will be in lakhs, and that pashmina wool is recovered from this pashmina sheep. So that will give like finest wool, that is the finest wool, and that shawl will be giving you the most warm kind of temperature if you are using that. So you have to see that kind of handmade textiles, which area is famous for what also. You may get this kind of prelims question. Okay, now let us see the next article. See the title, retail inflation at 2.75% in new consumer price index with 2024 as the base year. And to understand this, again we have to go back to this recent past. Recent past, India's rating. What is India's rating? B, right? Why India got this B grade? Because of one important reason they said is, there is no updation of base year in our country. That is the thing. Can you recall that? I said this point, India's rating is very bad in international organizations. Why? Because the major reason they said is, we are not updating our base year. So because of this, we came up with some economic reforms in our country, and we came up with this new consumer price index, new CPI. And now what is the base year here? 2023 to 2024 is the base year, and we are going to calculate inflation from now onwards based on this new base year. And it is the first time we calculated new retail inflation based on this new CPI. On this for sure you may get a question. You have to know about what is this consumer price index. First of all, tell me what is the meaning of inflation. Whenever there is increased prices of goods and service in the market, that condition is called as inflation. Inflation can be calculated by two methods. First one is we can calculate retail inflation, we can calculate wholesale inflation. What is retail inflation? You and me, whenever we are going to the nearby shop, whenever we are purchasing a single or two goods, then at that level, if we are calculating the price change, that is called as retail. Then what is wholesaler? Have you heard this word wholesaler? The person who go directly to a manufacturer and he will be buying the bulk of goods together, and at that level, if there is any increasing of price, then that is called as wholesale price. To calculate this retail price and as well as wholesale price change, retail price change is calculated under CPI. Okay, that is consumer price index. At wholesale level, that is called as wholesale price index. That is a basic thing, right? And we are calculating retail inflation by using new consumer price index, and now it is 2.75. Now you guys tell me, 2.75 is good or bad? So what is the bracket that we have to maintain? 4 plus or minus 2. So we have to maintain inflation in India. The target here is 4 plus or minus 2. That means between 2 to 6%, 4 plus or minus 2. So is it in our bracket or not, 2.75? Yes, we are maintaining inflation at a right level. Okay, so now you have to see about this new consumer price index. For sure you'll get a question. Keep star mark for this. Okay, our Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, in short, MOSPI, released consumer price index data based on a new series. And in this new series, what is the base year? 2023 to 2024 is a base year. And they said that in the month of January in 2026, retail inflation is 2.75 and we are maintaining in our bracket. Okay, if you see about this new CPI series, what changes we made? We changed our base year from 2011-12 to 2023-24. The first important change we made in our new CPI series. Please make a note, 2011-12 to 2023-24. And next one here is, we revised items based on the latest household consumption expenditure survey. Recently we made household consumption expenditure survey. That means how households, every household is spending, which kind of goods you are purchasing, how much you are saving, how much you are spending. On based on that, we are revised the items which are under the CPI. And next one here is, we expanded item coverage. We increased the item coverage and we improved methodology to better capture current consumption behavior. And even we included digital services, because nowadays we are not going to market physically to buy the goods. We have Zepto, we have Instamart, we have lots of things. We can also order just water bottle or like milk packet or even chocolates on online, right? You better know about that rather than me. So because of this, now we are also including this kind of digital services and we are increasing the item coverage. And next one here is, which organization is involved to make all this? We have MOSPI. You have to remember this, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. And what is the significance of this new series? We are going for better inflation measurement. We are capturing how exactly households you are consuming the goods and which kind of goods they are consuming. And even we are making inflation data more credible now. Because if you are going to the market sometimes and if you are purchasing everything by using money, sometimes we will not remember where and how much money we gave in certain area. But if you're going for this online things, everything is having a detailed account. There will be no missing of a single item because everything is on online. We will be getting receipt everything. So that what is happening here? We are making this inflation data more credible by including this digital services also now. And next one here is, we also decreased the food weightage in this consumer data. And next one here is, we also helped this RBI interest rate decision also. Based on this, we are finding out this inflation data. And next one here is, we also moved from food dominated consumption to housing and other services where exactly the household people are spending. Earlier we have this food items more in our basket, but now based on the digital services everything, we actually take in the data like how people are consuming the goods and how and where the people are spending the goods based on this household consumption survey. That means this new series of the CPI is more reliable compared to that of earlier CPI. That is the thing which mainly said here. And now let us see the next article. See this image. It is about one-horned rhinoceros. Now you guys tell me, what do you know about this one-horned rhinoceros? It is located in only Assam. Only Assam. Only Assam. Okay, in Assam, which national park? Only Kaziranga. Only Kaziranga. Manas. Next. One more. Kaziranga. Come on. Srimant. Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary. Okay. So here if you see about certain facts regarding this greater one-horned rhinoceros, this one-horned rhinoceros is also known as Indian rhinoceros and it is the largest of all rhinoceros. Okay, very important point. It is largest of all rhinoceros. We have Asian rhinos and we have African white rhinos. Of all these rhino species, this one-horned rhinoceros is the largest, and it is seen in India and as well as Nepal. Very important, particularly at the foothills of Himalayas. And we can see this greater one-horned rhinoceros in the flood plains of river Brahmaputra and river Ganges and as well as Indus River Valley. Normally, Kaziranga National Park in Assam contains largest population. Apart from that, we can see in Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary and as well as Manas. Okay, that is the thing, guys. And if you see about the features of these rhinos weigh around 2,200 kgs. 2,200 means how much? 2 tons, more than 2 tons. 2.2 tons. Okay, 2.2 tons. And its height is around 170 to 186 centimeters. That means more than we. Yes. It's on how many feet? 7 feet. Okay. And 368 to 380 centimeters or 145 to 150 inches long. Okay. And next one here is the species are solitary. They will be moving on. And next one is they also maintains loosely defended territories. And next one is it is a primary grazer. It will be like mostly herbivorous in nature. It will be feeding on leaves, grasses, branches, fruits and even aquatic plants. It is like purely herbivorous. And if you see conservation status, it is listed under vulnerable in IUCN Red List. Okay, see this next article, guys, very important, and even in the recent interviews also they asked questions related to the simultaneous elections and final interviews. I'm not talking about the mock interviews. In final interviews also, interview panel asked about this simultaneous polls. I'll tell you exactly what is the question. Recently, simultaneous polls is in news and lots of debates are going on this. In your opinion, whether the simultaneous polls is feasible in India or not? If feasible, what changes can we make? This is the final interview question. And again, there is an article related to the simultaneous polls in the news. Okay, let me read the title out. Simultaneous polls do not violate Constitution's basic structure. Who is saying that? Former Chief Justice of India, Gawai. Who is the present Chief Justice of India? Okay. Gawai is former Chief Justice of India. So here the first important point you have to see is basic structure. What is this basic structure of Constitution? Have you heard this word BSD, basic structure of Constitution? What is this and when it got evolved? Huh? Basic structure is nothing but the core principles of the Constitution. Okay. Who said about this basic structure? Do you know about this Golaknath case? Do you know about this Keshwananda Bharati case? Okay, can you tell me Keshwananda Bharati case happened in which year? Okay. Keshwananda Bharati versus State of Kerala. The case name is Keshwananda Bharati versus State of Kerala 1973. In that case, Supreme Court said about this basic structure doctrine. So whatever you want to change, you can change in the Constitution, but you should not change the basic structure of the Constitution. That is a judgment which is given by Supreme Court in this Keshwananda Bharati versus State of Kerala, not Union of India. Okay, it is State of Kerala 1973 judgment. And what is this basic structure? Whether it is there in our Constitution or not? No. It is not there in our Constitution. What is basic structure? Then who will decide what is basic structure? Again, court. Supreme Court in the judgments, it will say about what comes under basic structure, what will not come under basic structure. Can anyone tell me examples of basic structure? What Supreme Court said examples? Anyone? Okay, federalism. Next. Huh? Independence of judiciary. In your Lakshmikant, in this basic structure doctrine chapter, in the last page, last paragraph, you will be having the list of what all comes under this basic structure, right? So see that once. So you may get questions in this way. Again, this basic structure is in use, right? So you may get a question like this in your prelims. Which of the following judgment of Supreme Court led to the foundation of basic structure doctrine? It is very easy, everyone knows. And second type of question you can expect here is, which of the following are part of basic structure doctrine? And they'll give you that words which are given in the Lakshmikant, and they may ask you how many are correct or which are correct or which are incorrect, like that. That is the second type of question. And next question is, there are certain famous Supreme Court judgments like Minerva Mills case, IL Koholo case, Golaknath case. Tell me some cases. Recently Jaya Thakur versus Union of India case, Menaka Gandhi case. So how you can get a question is, on one column you will get the case names. On another column they will give the interpretation of that case. And they may ask you which are correct and which are incorrect, pair based question. Okay, are you understanding? So in this way you have to prepare related to this basic structure. So after the class, open your Lakshmikant and see what is this basic structure, and you have to see examples of basic structure given by Supreme Court so far. And you may get this kind of question also. Consider the following statements related to basic structure of constitution. And they'll give you 2 to 3 statements. It evolved through Minerva Mills case. Basic structure is clearly written in the constitution. Okay, like that they will make you to confuse in the examination hall. Because in examination hall, time will be running out. Here and there, everyone will be bubbling like anything. You will be thinking that I am not doing anything. I am not getting any answers. Paper is tough. You will be getting sweats. You will be in under anxiety, extra pressure. You will be like feeling like I am sitting in a pressure cooker. Yes, literally you will be getting that kind of hotness, and you will be feeling heat from your ears. Sweat will be coming, and your hand will be like shivering. All these things you will experience in this examination hall. So at that time, even the easy question that you know, you are very much clear about, there is a chance of doing it wrong. So try to overcome that kind of stress, pressure like conditions. At least daily do 5 to 10 minutes of pranayama or yoga. Be silent. That is very important. If you are not doing that, you cannot control that pressure and anxiety. And you will be thinking that after one's exam is done, next day, I want one more attempt to do that paper once again. God, please give me, please go back. If there is any time machine, I will be sitting in that, I will be going back. So you will be getting that kind of thoughts in your mind after one's exam is done. Okay, so don't regret it after the exam. Before it itself, whatever you can do, try to do that. Okay, we cannot bring even 1 minute which had been completed back, right? Time is a very valuable thing that we cannot buy with whatever the money you have. Yes, so be careful. Try to maintain from now onwards. You have 3 months to your exam. So what are the things that you can do? Practice from now onwards. Okay, so in all these ways you have to see about this basic structure. And next, what is the simultaneous polls? Simultaneous means? Simultaneous means? At a time. At a time, what they are talking, polls means nothing but elections. Simultaneous elections, what it means? At a time, election for Lok Sabha and State Legislative Assembly. We are not going for Rajya Sabha elections, right? So people will be directly electing our MLAs. People will be directly electing our MLAs and as well as MPs of Lok Sabha. Simultaneous elections means nothing but we are going to elect our MLAs and MPs together on a one day itself. Okay, for example, have you ever seen last time, I think so, in AP we have simultaneous elections, right? So we will be having 2 EVMs. One is for MLA and one is for MP. And last time in Telangana also we have simultaneous elections. Okay, like that. Normally, what we have here is, what is the problem here is, we are electing our MLAs and MPs. What happens if there is any incidents where the no confidence motion had been passed? What happens whenever the no confidence motion will be passed? Government will be dissolving, and again we'll go for elections, and again we will be having a new government. And if once new government is came, again they will be having how many years of tenure? 5 years of tenure. So what happens? Can we have this simultaneous elections? If something happens at the central level, or if something happens at the state level, can we maintain synchronity between those two? No. That is the reason why we don't have simultaneous elections in our country. But whenever we started our elections, at that time we have the simultaneous election. But because of this no confidence motion, because of this dissolving of government, then what is happening here? We are not having the same time of elections for MPs and MLAs. So now your Chief Justice of India, former Chief Justice of India, is saying that simultaneous elections will not violate our constitution basic structure. We can go for that. So now here what you have to say exactly is, what is simultaneous elections and what are the arguments in favor, what are the arguments against. Now you guys tell me, is that good or not if you are having these two elections in one go? Good. How it is good and why it is good? Administrative cost will be reduced. Next one is, have you ever seen before elections each and every car will be checked on the main roads, especially on highways? That means we need to have more manpower. Man force is very much important for maintaining of law and order. And next, model code of conduct, and political parties will go for campaigning. Yes, campaigning is very important, and they will spend lots of money for this campaigning, pamphlets, making of songs. Have you seen this certain vehicles on which we can see the posters of that political party, and they will play songs and they will be going. I saw one reel actually during this Panchayat elections only on YouTube. As it was like just 5 a.m. On this 5 a.m. only, people will be not even waking up at that time. One siren will be going on, one political party. And after that, within 10 to 15 minutes, again one more vehicle with another political party song with a big siren. So like that, what is happening is like, even sometimes it will cause irritation for the people, right? Next, other reasons. Other reasons why it is good. More button on, is that good or bad? I'm talking about good. Srimant, Govind, tell me. Okay, and even whenever we are having elections, public holiday, that to paid holiday. Yes, next. Tell me why it is bad. Is it possible if some states are having the dissolved government, if they form newly government, will that new government will accept to have suddenly elections in the middle of their tenure? No? Next. That will be one challenge.
Follow local body election.
Follow local body. How?
In between any 5 years, they collapse their
Mm.
their government will collapse.
Mm.
Their administration.
Mm.
Then they can mention
Next, okay. We can follow that. But actually, political parties are saying that we are investing a lot for the campaigning. So, how can we go for short tenure? In that short tenure, what happens? Can they make the policies and implementation of policies will be done? Yes or no? This 5 years is not even enough for the making of policies and implementation of the policies at the ground level. And after once 5 years is done, people will be like, we only doing that, right? They did nothing. They make more and more debt. They are paying more and more interest. Is that right? Then come on, think in that way and try to come up with your own perspective. And you have to think like whether it is right or wrong, because it is an interview question. I want to make you sure that you need to have a clear-cut idea whether you are supporting or whether you are against, and try to have a balanced thing. Okay, I'm leaving it to you only. Okay, now let us see the simultaneous election. It refers to the idea of holding Lok Sabha, that is parliamentary and as well as state legislative assembly elections together. Why? Because we can reduce frequency of elections in our country. And who supported or who recommended the simultaneous elections is, I came up with 3 important reports. If you want, you can make a note. First one is Election Commission of India in its annual report way back in 1983 itself recommended for the simultaneous elections. And next one is Law Commission 170th report of 1999 also stated that we must go for simultaneous elections in our country. That is the second report. And third one is 79th report of Parliamentary Standing Committee in 2015 also favored simultaneous elections. So these are the 3 reports which are recommending to go for simultaneous elections in our country, and these 3 points will become a value addition in your mains answers. Okay, who said this? And what are the points which are saying that we have to go for this? First one is we can reduce expenditure incurred for conducting of separate elections. And this one is because of this frequent elections leads to the imposition of MCC. What is MCC? Model Code of Conduct. At that time, political parties should not announce any new schemes or should not come up with any activities. Because of this, what happens? It will be affecting our normal governance mechanism in the states. And next one here is that will also lead to the disruption of normal public life because of frequent elections. And we need manpower. Because of this, what happens? Who will be doing this election duties? Normally teachers, Anganwadi members will be doing this election duties. And even before elections, they have to go for collection of entire data. And even have you ever seen before elections, they will be also allowing going for this new voters to be enrolled in the voter list. So all this work burden will be increased on the government. And next one here is the term Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha would normally commence and expire on a particular date if we are going for this simultaneous elections. Everything will happen in a one go. And next one here is we can focus on governance more rather than how to win in elections. Yes or no? If we are going to have elections, entire government before 1 year or 2 years itself, they will be starting plans for campaigning, where they have to go for campaigns, on which day, how they have to organize, and local leaders meetings, everything that will be in a election mode. Because of that, they will not focus on governance. And next one here is if election is there together, then even we can increase voter turnout, voter participation rather than the frequent elections. And next one is we can reduce the disruption of essential services. So because of this, these are the arguments which are saying that yes, we can go for simultaneous elections in our country. And what are the arguments which are against? It will hamper federalism. What is the meaning of federalism? Sharing of powers. What is unitary? Central is more powerful than state. So here what is happening here? This federalism is getting affected because in some states there will be completion of 5 years of tenure. In some states they may be started recently. So because of this, what is happening? There is inequality which is going to be happen for the states. And next one here is logistic challenges. If you want to conduct this MP and MLA elections, we need to have 2 EVMs separately. One is for MLA and one is for MP. So throughout the country, if you are going, means we need to have massive number of EVMs. That will be also a problem, logistic problem. And next one here is regional variations can happen, as you know. And next one is conducting elections is expensive and require more significant resources than compared to that of manpower. And next one is in some states they will go for premature dissolution. That means before completion of 5 years they have to go for dissolution. And next one here is practically, if you want to go for conducting of the simultaneous election throughout the country, Election Commission is saying that it is a large country and large populous country. Practically it is not possible. Okay, that is also one problem. Okay, and that will lead to disadvantage for regional political parties. In political parties, we have national parties, state parties, regional parties. Do you know that? Which are the national political parties? How many are there in India, national political parties? BJP, Congress. Do you know there is certain criteria to say a political party is a national political party, a political party is a state political party? Do you know that? No? Open your Lakshmikant book. In Lakshmikant, you will be having election chapter. In that elections chapter, it is not in constitutional bodies. Apart from constitutional bodies, you will be having election topic. In that topic, you will be having criteria for national political party and criteria for state political party. Recently, Aam Aadmi Party got this national political party status. Okay, they have to get 2% of votes, and 4 states it should be like a state political party. So you have to see certain criteria. I too can't recall the present thing exactly. So open your book and see that what is the criteria for a national political party and state political party. You may get a question regarding this national political party because recently Aam Aadmi Party got the status of national political party. See that once. Okay, next article, look at here. Government can file FIR or move privilege motion. It will stand with farmers. This article is talking about privileges. Okay, so here we have two kinds of privileges. We have collective privileges and we have individual privileges. So what are these privileges you have done with your polity? Tell me. What is a privilege? What is the meaning of privilege? In Parliament chapter, you might have studied about these privileges. They are immunities. Can you give me examples of those immunities? Huh? Be allowed. Srimant, immunities.
No MP can arrest in the parliament.
Okay, no MP can be arrested. In which cases? Civil or criminal? Both? Huh? Both?
Before giving a prior permission from the speaker, we can't arrest in civil also and criminal case.
Next. Check once again. Next, anyone? Other privileges? Geeta? Sanjana? Govind?
పార్లమెంట్లో స్పీచ్ చేస్తారు కదా
పార్లమెంట్లో
స్పీచ్ చేస్తారు కదా
ఆ,
ఆ స్పీచ్ మాట్లాడడం బయట కేసులో
ఓకే కేసెస్ ఆన్ ఎంపీస్. నెక్స్ట్ దేవిందర్. కమ్ ఆన్ ఆకాష్. వెరీ గుడ్. హర్ష? నో ఐడియా. రైట్ టు స్పీక్ అండ్ ఓట్. నెక్స్ట్ శ్రీమంత్. అభిజ్ఞ.
Criteria for ADA, anti-defection law.
యాంటీ డిఫెక్షన్లో
Some criteria for
వాట్ ఇస్ దట్ క్రైటీరియా? సమ్ క్రైటీరియా ఇస్ దేర్, బట్ వాట్ ఇస్ దట్?
స్పీకర్ ఇస్ exempted from the anti-election law.
Speaker is exemption from anti-defection law. Okay. Hemant. Privileges. Individual and collective privileges. Examples.
పార్లమెంట్ పనిషేట్
Parliament can?
పనిషేట్
Privileges or immunities? No. You are telling about punishment.
he has the rights to
Immunities. Immunities.
Supreme Court not interfere in any discussion in the parliament.
After class, open your polity book. See individual privileges, collective privileges. How you will get question is, consider the following and which of the above are individual privileges? Which of the above are collective privileges? Or else you may get this kind of question, consider the following statements related to privilege motion. That is the second type of question. Third type of question is, they will give you pair-based question. In one column, they will give you privilege motion, substantive motion, closure motion, guillotine motion, motion of thanks. And they will give you description about that motion. And they may ask you how many pairs are correct or how many pairs are incorrect. Are you understanding? So in this way you have to prepare, and in this way already UPSC asked question. Okay, so prepare well about the substantive motion, privilege motion, motion of thanks. Every motion is very important. Policy cut motion, token cut motion. Have you heard this word at least? In the parliament chapter, these motions are very, no confidence motion. Yesterday also it is in news, no confidence motion. What is no confidence motion? Vote trust. What is a trust is about? How many votes they have to get? Come on, online students, tell me in the comment box. 272. What is the total strength of Lok Sabha? 543. Okay, 50. How much it will be? 270? 271.5. Okay, think that one, guys. So now let us say about privilege motion. It is a formal motion request by the members to the presiding officer of the house to address an alleged breach of parliamentary privileges. Normally, they have two types of privileges: individual privileges or this. What is that? Individual, and one more is collective privilege. If any privilege had been violated, the members can request for this privilege motion to the who? Presiding officer of the house. And parliamentary privileges are nothing but the peculiar rights which are enjoyed by the house collectively. They are called as collective privileges. Next one is by the members of each house individually. Okay, and parliamentary privileges are not codified anywhere, but they are derived from the provisions like Article 105 and as well as parliamentary conventions. Okay, now let us see this next article. Title is Vande Mataram, its 6 stanzas and etc. question. In our yesterday's article, we discussed in detail about what are the guidelines given, and we discussed about certain facts related to this Vande Mataram, and even we practiced a question. So just go through that once. Vande Mataram this year, it will be very important. Don't ignore this topic for sure, guys. And next one here is we discussed about this article. It is about synthetic content which is generated by AI, and even government came up with the new rules and regulations. What are those new rules and regulations came up by the government? First one here is they have to show clear-cut a label. Disclosure of AI based generated content on the image or video, whatever it may be. And they said that they reduced the time from 36 hours to 3 hours. And if it is sensitive information, from 24 hours to 2 hours, they reduced. And now they made the platforms responsible for their accountability. And this one here is even platform has to confirm that whether it is an AI generated image or content or anything, if anyone who is uploading that image, and they have to go for clear cut age based restrictions as well. And if they are not responding, there will be the punishments on this entire platform. That is the thing which we discussed. That's it, guys, nothing more than that. And say this next article, Farmers Pulse. Only structural reforms in agriculture sector can ensure food security. Food security is very important. What is meaning of food security? We're listening this word, right? It is very easy that we have to maintain food security. But what is food security? Providing what? What is food security? Maintaining? Okay, maintaining surplus food. Is that right? Maintaining surplus food is a food security? Availability, accessibility and affordability of food is called as food security. Exactly. We have to make food available for the people. Not only availability, people has to access that food. Not only access. If we see that food, our stomach will be full. If that happens, we'll go to daily one bakery and we'll see all those things and we'll come back. Will our stomach be full? No. If you want to eat a cake or if you want to get 1 kg of chicken or 1 kg of mutton, it should be affordable for the people. People has to afford it. Then only they will get and then only they will have. So here food security includes affordability, accessibility and as well as availability of food for the people of India. So here this article is saying that we have to bring structural reforms. First structural reform here is we have to go for digital agriculture and technology integration agriculture. Why? Because nowadays what is happening, after once farmer is doing agriculture and whenever they are getting the produce, they are going to take that produce to APMC markets. There we have commission, middleman, intermediary, right? So because of this, what is happening? There is loss of profit for this farmer. Rather than that, if you are developing technology and if you are developing certain websites where farmer can sell his produce directly, then we can eliminate this middleman so that we can increase profits for the farmer and even profits to this consumer as well. And next one here is we have to go for using of technology to identify soil profiles as well. And next one is crop zone registry also we have to maintain. In which areas, which kind of crops can be grown. If you're giving that kind of data to these farmers, they will grow that kind of crops. Because nowadays climate change is happening, rainfall is unpredictable, and weather events are happening. So what is happening here? Huge amount of losses are faced by this farmer. If you are using this technology and if you are going for this crop zone registry and as well as crop profiles and geo referred maps, obviously it will be helpful for the farmers. And next one is we have to go for AI enabled platforms like Bharat Vitsatar for multilingual. So there we are going for AgriStack and as well as iCar practices, the best practices we can provide for these farmers. And we can go for precision farming. What is precision farming? What exactly require? We have to give that only. For example, we require only DAP or only we need to give nitrogen or only we have to go for using of that so and so pesticide. Only this crop is requiring that much amount of water, not more than that. If you're going for this kind of precision farming, we can minimize the losses and we can improve the soil fertility as well. And obviously we can improve agriculture produce. And next one here is we have to go for increasing of technology like precision irrigation. You know this drip irrigation methods, we will be having black pipes, only one drop by drop water will be given to the roots of the plants so that we can increase efficiency in this drought prone areas. So like that we have to go for precision irrigation and as well as biostimulants. Normally have you ever seen, especially in this mango areas, they'll go for spraying of flowering agents if the tree is not getting flowers. Normally for coconuts also they will give certain injections. So those are called as biostimulants. Have you read about the plant hormones? Can you tell me some examples? Cytokinins, auxins, gibberellins. Which is the hormone is used for ripening of fruits? Ethylene. So like that we will be using certain plant based hormones as a stimulator so that we can increase agriculture produce. If there is no flowering, if there is no pollination, what happens? Can we get the fruits from these plants? No, we have to use certain biostimulants. And this one is we have to go for improving of our market and as well as value chains. In that also we have to come up with certain reforms. Like we can strengthen our farmer producer organizations for better bargaining and as well as direct market access. And we have to go for infrastructure development. We have fruits and as well as certain vegetables, they are perishable. That means they will spoil within a very less time. So for that kind of products, we need to go for increasing of cold storage infrastructure, and we have to go for modern warehouses and modern harvest management. And this one is we have to go for reforms in agri marketing as well, and we have to go for promotion of high value crops like coconut, cashew, cocoa, walnuts, horticulture. We have to come up with the detailed programs on that kind of high value added crops. And next one is regarding this water, irrigation, climate. Also, we have to focus on certain areas. We have to go for watershed management. We have to go for micro irrigation methods, climate smart agriculture, and diversification of this water intensive crops towards water less intensive crops. So these are the changes that we can make. And next one is we have to increase our efforts in inputs also. Rather than using of this traditional seeds, we can go for high yield variety seeds, and we have to go for self-sufficiency missions. Whatever the agriculture products that we are importing from other countries, rather than that we can promote in our country. For example, oil seeds we are getting from Russia, we are getting from Ukraine. Rather than that, we can go for promotion of this oil seed production in our country. And even pulses is very important for the protein sufficiency. But we are not producing enough pulses in our country. So we are getting from other country. Rather than that, we can go for that kind of special mission. For that, recently government launched a national pulses mission, national oil seeds mission. So like that, what happens? Obviously, farmers will be also getting good amount of profits from that kind of missions. And next one is we have to increase the credit access to this farmers through this Kisan credit card scheme. Okay, and not only that, we can go for diversification towards allied sector as well. Rather than going for only agriculture, we have to go for rearing of cattle, rearing of goats, and as well as sheep, and even we can go for poultry. so that what are the waste we are creating in this agriculture we can use as a feed and fodder for that animals, and they will be also becoming one source of income for the farmers. Okay, for that government is targeting especially 100 low productivity districts for productivity under this Prime Minister Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. And next one is government has to provide subsidies for the farmers, and government has to focus on infrastructure development, mechanization of agriculture, research and development, and as well as value chains in this area, guys. That is the thing which mainly said here. And see this next article, a case against Shanti Act. What is this Shanti Act? Government is promoting private sector into this nuclear energy. Okay, so here let us see what is that case is about. Okay, how much amount of nuclear energy that we are generating now? 30%. What is the India, sorry, 3%. What is the India's target? We have to generate 100 gigawatts by 2030 or 2047? 2047. So if you want to achieve that target, only government investment in this nuclear energy is not sufficient. So government came up with encouraging of private sector by this Shanti Act. But the problem which is given here is Shanti Act opens nuclear power sector to private entities. So what is the thing which is given in this article here is, and you know about this Chernobyl disaster. Chernobyl disaster. What is this Chernobyl disaster and where it happened, in which country? In Japan. So what happened in this Japan? Japan is present on this Pacific ring of fire, and it is very susceptible to volcanic eruptions and as well as earthquakes, right? So what happened? Chernobyl is one nuclear plant which is present in the coast of the Japan. There was a tsunami. Why tsunami happens? Because of earthquakes in the water, tsunami happens. So in that tsunami, this power plant got destroyed. And till today also there is no complete decontamination. There is no complete decontamination in this area. Recently, Japan is taking out that everything, and it is dumping in this South China Sea. So China is also showing certain obligations, like why you will be throwing that contaminated water in this water. It will leads to the it will leads to the pollution in that region. So what is happening here is, if we are giving more and more entry to this private sector into this nuclear power plants, if suddenly, unfortunately, if there is any accident happen, the liability is very less on that person who is the owner of that private related nuclear power plant. But the loss caused by that nuclear explosion will be more. That is the thing which is mainly given here. Okay, here if you see the second paragraph, you can understand clearly. The liability cap is far lower than potential damage seen in major accidents like Fukushima, Chernobyl, raising concerns about safety, accountability and moral hazard. Yes, government is having an aim of increasing of renewable energy. So one source here is nuclear, that is accepted. But if we are allowing this private sector into this nuclear missions or nuclear power plants, whatever the liability is there, if there is any accident happens, it is far more less compared to that of what kind of damage it may cause. It may cause damage to environment, it may cause damage to the humans. Every section of society will be getting affected if we are having this kind of nuclear explosion, right? So here we have to think before giving licenses for this private people into this nuclear energy production. That is the thing which mainly said here, guys. That's it. Okay, see this question. With reference to simultaneous elections in India, consider the following statements. First one is, simultaneous elections were held in India for Lok Sabha and all state assemblies during the first two general elections. The Constitution of India explicitly mandates simultaneous elections. Article 83 and Article 172 deals with the duration of parliament and state legislature respectively. Do you know how to find out the articles of state and center? If you read this center, if you add how much? -1. 89. If you add 89, you will get state province, state related articles. Okay, remember that number 89. Okay, now you guys tell me how many statements are right in this. Only one? 1 and 3. What about 2? What about 2? Think once. Okay, see this next question. It is listed under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act. It is included in Appendix 1. It is about one-horned rhinoceros. And third one is Project Tiger is centrally sponsored scheme exclusively for Assam. Which of the above statements are right? Online students, please tell me the answers for these 2 questions, guys. By this, I'm concluding. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. And if you really like this class, please do hit the like button and please do share this class. And CSAT course had been started here yesterday. And if you want to purchase that course, please do contact us on this number 8074765513. Don't forget, guys. Thank you so much.